Hi, everybody. My name is Alex Wheatle, author of Kemosha of the Caribbean, and I would like to introduce Akilah, who created the cover design.
Hi everyone, my name is Akilah Watts and I'm the illustrator of Kemosha of the Caribbean's book cover.
You know what? I was just on a school link,
Uh-huh.
school link, and I was telling the students that there is a Woolworths in Bridgetown.
There is. I mean, it's like literally a staple. It's like, if you're looking for anything for school or anything like like a little pick me up something, it's easy to just like, all right, we can just check in Woolworths quick.
Yeah, because my mother, when she first came to the UK, worked in the Woolworths store on Brixton High Street many years ago.
Yeah, they have everything, even clothes upstairs. They have frames. Like when I was in school and I was doing my associate degree and my bachelor's, and we had to look at framing because framing is not necessarily cheap in Barbados because we have to bring in molding. I actually worked part-time at a framing shop last year and a couple of years ahead, so I kind of have a little bit of experience with knowing how framing works. So we have to bring in all the molding and more or less make it here. So that adds to like the cost of framing. And Woolworth is one of the places that our tutors suggested because they're bringing in bulk. So it's like, if you want a few cheap frames and you find a style you like, just stock up on it.
Yeah.
They have everything.
Yeah, in fact, I spent a lot of the time walking around the port where you have this, what's his name? Bustamante. You have this stone figure.
Yeah, Buster, we just call it Buster. The Emancipation statue, yeah.
Yeah, that was very impressive. So, because that interests me. So, the whole history of that region and the people who tried to revolt and so on.
Yeah.
So that's always been compelling to me. So maybe one day I might write a story about Buster.
Please. I would love, the thing about Buster too is such an interesting story to write because it's rumored that he's not necessarily a real person. He's just more or less the idol that they put or the icon they put to represent the emancipation era. But then some people say he was a person. His name was not necessarily Buster, but he's one of our national heroes. So I mean, I think there's at least a little bit of flexibility in a story about him, you know what I mean? Because he's not necessarily like this one rigid person where you have to get all these ideals like correct.
Yeah. So Kemosha, that came about because, I was watching with my daughter Pirates of the Caribbean. I think it was the second or the third one. I cannot remember. And I think she said, Dad, maybe you should write something because the heroes are always white. And, it'd be nice if the heroes are white and black and anything in between. And so I got thinking about that and I started my research. And then I read about female pirates like Mary Read, and I think it was Anne Bunny, and I think there's a couple of others too. So I thought, you know what, I've got to go for this. I really got to go for this. And as a child, I loved reading Treasure Island. And that took me to a place where I'd never been before. I remember the excitement and the adventure and the jeopardy. And so those were the three words I had beside my laptop as I started to write Kemosha of the Caribbean. It's got to be exciting. It's got to be adventure. It's got to be something, somebody's got to be on a ship sailing the Caribbean, and it's got to be lots and lots and lots of jeopardy. So that's how Kemosha of the Caribbean came about. And I had a wonderful time creating her. I really did.
Well, I must commend you because to be honest, I got all of those different influences, but to me, it was just more authentic. Like when I was reading it, I was like, I knew for a fact it was the Caribbean. Like I got the Pirates of the Caribbean aspect because again, they did do some filming in Jamaica and they did some filming in St. Vincent, I believe.
Right.
But there's nothing like a story from the Caribbean with people that are from the Caribbean. So I think even reading about her as being a Black Caribbean woman, I just was like, I immediately was into that story. I was just like, perfect. It was no hardship reading it. It was just like when you read it, it just seems true to what the Caribbean is in the time, as well as like the spirit of who she was. I could tell she's a Caribbean woman and not just necessarily like an African American or just a a Black person from the UK. Like, she speaks to the spirit of who Caribbean people are. I was on edge reading it, to be honest, and I'm privileged to be able to at least read it before other people have, just because I had to look at the book for some influences for when I was designing the cover. But
and I'm so glad to know that it moved you and touched you in that way. That was my intention. I really wanted a heroine for the Caribbean, and hopefully I found her. And who knows, she might rise again. So she might sail the seas again.
Hopefully.
With a narrative. So why not? In this day and age, we should have heroes from all corners of the world. So I think that's very important for our children and our children's children, that they can enjoy those kind of heroes from everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was my intention. So hopefully you'll be the young readers, and hopefully for me, it's all ages can read it, but especially for young readers, they can enjoy a new heroine and get involved and be kind of just be excited, just like I was when I first got my hands on a very old copy of Treasure Island.
I was like, it's a classic though, Treasure Island.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I think everybody needs to read it at least once in their life. But I think the book itself was just easy to design, just based on the story. I think we were all on the same page in terms of imagery, because when I had first been in touch and got to the write-up of how we wanted to approach the book, I was already thinking this. So at least I don't have the hardship of almost doing a 360 and having to change what my thought process was for the design of the book based on your vision as well as the team's vision. I was like, at least everybody's kind of on the same page. I think my only goal for her was obviously to make her successful in terms of when you see her, you can envision her in the book because it is her.
Yeah.
But also the features in which I chose, I don't just want you to look at her and be like, she's Black. She needs to have some sort of Caribbean features. Like, she doesn't look like just a Black woman from anywhere. She speaks to where she's
got
from.
That pride and that determination in her eyes, and that's what you know what? The first time I went to the Caribbean was way back in 1987 when I was reunited with my father.
Right.
He took me to the local market, Papine Market, which is uptown Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
And the women there, I noticed this in the Caribbean, the women there walk much taller with their straight backs. In the UK, sometimes, the women, I'm not saying they're not as proud, but maybe it's the weather, I don't know what, but it's not that kind of
confidence,
Yeah.
I think Caribbean people have a tough skin. I don't know, it's conditioning. I think even in school, some of the things that people may think are a little harsh, we go through and be like, it is what it is. It was school and we get through it. So I think our mindset to a lot of things is a lot tougher. I think a lot of things just roll off our back, or we're not bothered by it because it's not necessarily detrimental to our livelihood. It does not speak to our character as a person. So why worry about what other people think about us if we know that we're being true to ourselves? I think that's the whole Caribbean mindset in general.
It is, because when I got to know members of my family, the female members of my family, my aunts and my grandmother and so on, they were so robust and they would not allow men to mess with them, and they would give as good as they got, So I wanted to capture that in Kemosha. That spirit, you troubling me, you think I'm a woman that I'm not going to fight back? That kind of spirit. And I wanted to capture that, as an honor to Caribbean women, really, because I know many Caribbean women who have that spirit, who have that no matter what life throws at me, I'm going to overcome it and I'm going to triumph.
I'm going to survive. Yeah. But she's a strong character. I think you really did justice to putting her personality in the Caribbean and not just being a Black woman. It really speaks to the time.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you again for creating such a wonderful image. I mean, the first time I saw it, I just said, wow, this is Kemosha. So I was very excited, and I know you've been tweaking and fine-tuning And so I can't wait for the big reveal.
Me either, to be honest. It's going to be epic. I don't think anybody's ready for what this cover is going to be. I'm just thankful to have the opportunity to do it at all. It's actually my first time designing a book cover, like on my own at least. So it was really interesting. I'm glad for the story it was that I got to start on, and it was something that was close to home that I got to design. So
wonderful. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.